All right, we're good.
Okay, thank you. Are there any preliminary matters for us to hear?
Thank you. Yes, there are two potential preliminary matters. The first is a tabling request. Was it? The case on South High Street.
Yeah.
Case BZA 22-108.
Which one?
That's it.
Sorry, is it what's the address? 1108 South High. Are you?
It's 12.
Probably because they're, we knew everything.
Case BZA 22-09-1108 South High Street.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Attorney Jeff Stankunas. I'm here for my law partner, Molly Gwynn, for the applicant, Driven Brands, on this matter. And if it pleases the board, we're requesting a tabling of this issue until your next meeting. We have not yet obtained the recommendation of the Southside Area Commission. We're hopeful to obtain that at 6:30 tonight. And would like to be back before you at your next meeting, hopefully with that recommendation.
Thank you very much. Would you confirm if you've been sworn?
I have been sworn, yes.
Okay. We certainly like to get the input of the area commission, so we applaud you for doing that. With that
Move the
being
table.
said, it's been moved. Is there a
Second.
second? Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Morrow,
Yes.
Mr. Falco,
Yes.
and Chair Jones.
Yes, your tabling is granted. Good luck
Thank
with your meeting.
thank
this
you.
evening.
And you do need me to sign in, correct?
Yes, please.
Second preliminary matter is a request to adjust the agenda. Case number 15 on the agenda, BZA 22-017. The applicant has an area commission meeting they need to get through tonight for another case, and they'd like to be moved to first. Mr. Bender, if you want to come up and make that request.
We have
We show 13.
It should be listed as 13. There's a, well,
We have 13.
BZA 22-07.
Damn.
Okay, 13.
13.
Hello.
All right, so I'll move that I'm gonna make a double motion. I move that, first off, we hear all the variance cases first tonight, and that we move case 13, BZA 22-107 to the front of those cases.
So we'll take one motion at a time, please.
All right, so I'll move, we'll hear variances first tonight, as before the appeals.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Mr. Morrow,
Yes,
Chair Jones.
Yes.
now I move we hear case number 13, BZA 22-107 first.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Morrow,
Yes,
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes. Agenda has been adjusted. BZA 22-107 for 1440 King Avenue. Your name, sir?
My name's Jim Bender. I'm the project planner and architect for this project.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bender, Inc. Architects.
Thank you. I will hear from city staff on this case.
Well, just before, we have one more thing to notice, to make people aware of. Because there are only 3 members of the board present tonight, you'll need a unanimous vote of all 3 for a concurring vote. This is a quorum. We will need a 3-0 vote for your case to move forward. Also, there is before you for case number 8, 914 Cleveland Avenue, BZA 22-094, supplemental exhibits packet. Email received from members of the community voicing their disapproval. If the applicant for 914 Cleveland Avenue is here, I have a copy of the exhibits for you as well, if you'd like to look them up. Having said that, we will move over to case number 1.
Thank you, Jamie.
BCA 22-107, 1440 King Avenue is located on the north side of King Avenue, approximately 300 feet west of Grandview Avenue. It is zone C for commercial and is part of the 5th by Northwest Area Commission. The 0.43 acre site is developed with a 1-story office building. Surrounding uses are primarily multi-unit apartment residential dwellings. The applicant proposes to legitimize an existing parking area and is requesting a variance to allow parking spaces to reduce the minimum parking space size from 9 by 18 feet to 9 by 17.9 feet. Planning has no comment on the variances as the Fifth by Northwest Area Plan and Columbus citywide planning policies do not address individual parking spaces. Planning acknowledges that the variances are to legitimize existing site conditions, which are generally consistent with the plan's design guidelines. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can also recommend approval as the variances are negligible and are to legitimize existing conditions which are generally consistent with the plan's design guidelines.
This should be a no-brainer for us guys.
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Bender, do you have the recommendation of the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission as well as city staff? We would agree that it is a negligible reduction or a request for reduction. Do you have anything additional that you would like to add at this moment?
Just that I'll take any questions that you might have.
Okay,
And thank you for bringing this up. One, two, I've been on the graphics commission for 28 years, so. I
Thank
know
you for your
the
service.
excellent job you do, and you got a big business. I know I'm not saying a whole lot.
okay, thank you so much. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this proposal? Seeing
Question?
and hearing none, the question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Malika,
Yes.
Mr. Mora,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes, your variance is granted. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Case BZA 22-026, 1812 West Fifth Avenue. Hello, sir.
Hello,
Would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
David Hodge, attorney for the applicant, and I have been sworn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hodge. City staff?
Yes. Okay, 1812 West Fifth Avenue is located at the northeast corner of West Fifth Avenue and Wyandotte Road. Site is zone C4 commercial and is within the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission. The site is currently developed with a dry cleaning operation. This currently uses our mix of commercial, including retail, eating and drinking, and office. The applicant proposes to convert the existing building to an eating and drinking establishment and requests a variance to legitimize existing conditions for a parking lot and reduce the number of additional parking spaces from 23 to 0. The existing condition, I'm sorry, 23 to, sorry?
6.
6, yes, that's a new change, new site. The existing conditions are reduced aisle, reduced maneuvering, limited parking space, and a reduction in the number of bicycle parking spaces from 2 to 0 as well. Bicycle parking will be located in planning generally supports the proposal, but requests additional bike parking to mitigate the parking reduction. As I said, the parking will be provided in the aisle. However, since it's not in the property, variance is necessary. Parking study will be required by the Division of Parking Services in conjunction with this application. Based on the results of the parking study provided, Parking Services supports their budget parking variance. Proposed stacking parking spaces, however, were not supported. The Fifth by Northwest Commission recommends approval of this request. Although the Division of Parking Services approved the parking study to reduce the required number of additional parking spaces, the Division of Traffic Management is in disapproval of the stacked parking and would prefer further reduction of on-site parking. However, the Division of Traffic Management states that they could support the stacked parking, provided those spaces are for employees only. If this request is approved, staff requests the following condition: that on-site parking shall be limited to employees with employee parking only signage displayed externally. So again, staff is generally recommending approval with the provision that if there are stacked parking, it'll be for employees only.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Hodge, anything to add?
Well, I would like to make sure that, that we're understanding the issue with the staff's position as stated in the staff report and reiterate what Jamie just said, and maybe we can hear from Mr. Blanchett too. So you see on the north side of this building, what we are proposing to do is have 6 parking spaces that are in a stacked configuration. We wanted to, my client here wanted to provide as many off-street parking spaces as they possibly could. There was some concern, I believe, from traffic management that could create some cluster in there with customers trying to weave in and out of those spaces. And so the suggestion was for us to commit to providing signage on the site to indicate that those are spaces to be used by employees of Twisted Vine we make that commitment. We will provide the signage on site. We'll also make sure that that signage is provided on the site compliance plan so that it is a binding obligation. Twisted Vine, if you've been over in this part of the world, is an existing business here hard on the corner. It's been very successful. I worked for them years and years ago, and it's a great operation here where they're indicating on the screen. This retail strip along Fifth, interestingly, has struggled. There's been quite a bit of vacancy over there with some things kind of in and out and remaining a tremendous amount of vacancy. Twisted Vine has been a successful owner operator there. They would like to expand their business to provide some additional retail space and some additional tasting space. This was unanimously supported by the Fifth by Northwest Area Commission. We did trigger the city's parking study policy, which obligated us to go out and conduct the parking study. The parking study concluded that there is more than ample on-street parking to accommodate this offset and this reduction that's being requested. Hopefully that explains the question. I know we have 3 members here tonight, so if folks have questions, concerns, I'd love to hear those as we move forward. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Bleckschmidt, but if you want to weigh in on anything I said about that stack configuration in there, maybe that would be helpful for the board to hear.
Sure. Yes, maybe just briefly, I believe we'd come up with some language that we were comfortable with to add as a condition to indicate that if it was parking for employees or owners, that would be acceptable to approve it in the stack parking configuration.
So generally, as I understand it, you would have staff approval based on your agreement to the condition. And the traffic study basically says that this variance should be approvable. Is there anything additional that you'd like to ask or offer?
Bingo. I think you summed it up beautifully. I would just also say that the owner operator is here with me, as is the project architect, if there are any additional questions that anybody on the board has.
Okay, sure. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this proposal? Okay, any questions from board members?
I think he was getting it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want me to stand here or?
You can come to the table in front. Thank you. Would you please give us,
I own the building next door. My name is John Brenneman. I own the building next to the one there.
and have you been sworn, sir?
Yeah, he was.
Pardon?
Have you been sworn?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was right there when I got put in.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I've owned the building for 50 years. I have never yet received a request for 5 different variances at one time. That's unbelievable. They want, reduce the aisles, maneuvering space, cut down the size of the spaces, and then reduce the number of parking spaces. They're supposed to have 23 and they want to get by with 6. So parking on West Fifth is already hard enough to find. And there are plenty of people, there are plenty of businesses that would be adversely affected by it. So does anybody have any questions from me?
So what kind of business do you have?
There's a bookstore currently, I'm repairing my building. I have it has been a laundromat and I had fire damage, and so I'm in the process of fixing the building back up. And then there's a bookstore next door where the building is also being repaired due to smoke damage. But as I said, I've owned the building for 50 years, and parking has always been tough on Fifth Avenue. And with all these variances, why, it'll drive me crazy.
Okay. Would you please sign in on that sheet?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against the proposal? Any questions from
I'm
board
a little
members?
confused. So if he owns a laundromat, I thought you were buying a laundromat. So I'm confused.
I believe his use is just east of us here on the screen. So if I could come up here. So this was a laundry facility here, Mr. DeMoro. And what we aim to do is knock the back of the building off and do that stack configuration here. I believe this is this gentleman's property here, and he had some kind of laundry in there at some point, and it's been, I guess, being in the process of being converted to a bookstore there. you know, what's interesting about this site, you can see that it's building right from the southern property line to the northern property line in the alley. It's a C4 property, been commercially zoned, probably C4 since zoning got adopted in the city of Columbus. Commercial use with how many parking spaces on it? 0. This is a condition in these older developed urban neighborhoods where zoning came along after the fact, assigned the most appropriate zoning, and it never has met the development standards. You know, here we have a very successful business that came in and made use of this. They're providing the parking here. They want to expand into here and do this. Some of these variances that we're talking about with the aisle and the maneuvering, those are just technical variances that allow this, you know, budding configuration that we discussed on the site plan. It's really an urban, kind of a suburban standard, and we're in an urban neighborhood here. But if there are issues, you know, a need for us to reach out to the adjacent property owner and work through some of this with a board of 3, you know, I'd like to hear about it. We can table and go back to the drawing board and come back and have a hearing next month.
I don't see. any
Well, I
reason
assume that these people can use the Twisted Vine lot if their spots there, correct? They can use the spots on the Twisted Vine.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this is all pretty clear. I don't know that we need to talk about tabling or moving forward. Do you have any additional questions?
I don't.
Okay, anyone want to call a question?
I'll call a question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, variances are granted. Good luck.
Thank you all very much.
Case BZA 22-060 for 5500 Alkire Road.
What side on this? You go-
It's approved.
Approved.
Yes, sir. BZA 22-060. That's you? Okay. Please give us your names and indicate whether or not you've been sworn.
I'm Joel Sigler with AEP, and yes, I've been sworn.
John Worley with a consultant, and have been sworn.
Okay. Please sign in on the list. City staff. Thank you, Adam.
BZA 22-060 5500 Alkire Road is located at the northeast corner of Norton Road and Alkire Road. It is zoned M1 manufacturing as part of the Westland Area Commission. The 14.73 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses are commercial to the west and undeveloped parcel to the south and residential to the north. The applicant proposes to construct an electrical service center with parking and a backflow prevention meter enclosure. Variances are requested to reduce the building setback from 200 to 133 feet and to reduce the parking setback from 25 to 5 feet. Planning is in full support of this proposal. The revised site plan includes landscaping screening along Norton and Alkire roads consistent with C2P2 planning guidelines. Staff supports this proposal with the understanding that applicant will consult with the city forester on the placement of street trees along Norton and Alkire frontages. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Westland Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval as the proposed site plan is consistent with C2P2 guidelines, and we recommend the condition that the applicant will commit to a stamped landscape plan. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Adam. Is this the one that we didn't notice the public previously?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we've heard this, and you have the recommendation of city staff and no concerns from traffic management. Is there anything additional that you feel you need to add?
Yeah, we're just answering any questions you might have.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this proposal?
Well, question.
Okay, the question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes. Variance is granted. Good luck with your project. Again. BZA 22-061 for 928 Seabird.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello,
Would you please provide your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
Delicia Magania Gonzalez. Yes, I have.
Thank you. Did they take the sheet to sign?
Yeah, that's in front of the
Oh, all right.
Yes,
please.
Are you authorized? I don't see your name down as an applicant or the agent.
I'm representing the applicant. Yes, I have a power of attorney.
Making sure you have that.
Yeah, I'm out there.
Okay, and who owns staff is here, please?
BZA 22-061 and 28 Civic Street is located on the north side of Civic Street, approximately 140 feet east of Ohio Avenue. It is zoned R4 residential and is part of the Columbus South Side Area Commission. The 0.05 acre site is undeveloped. Surrounding uses are primarily single and two-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to construct a single-unit dwelling with an attached garage. Variances are requested to reduce the minimum side yard requirements from 5 feet to 3.5 feet, to reduce the minimum rear yard percentage from 25 to 20.3%, and to allow single-family dwelling to be situated on a lot less than 5,000 square feet in area. Planning is in full support of this proposal. The site plan and elevation relocates the garage to be accessed from the alley, consistent with C2B2 guidelines, while preserving windows and doors addressing the Seaver Street frontage. Staff support with understanding that the site plan will be revised to include a sidewalk along Seaver and possibly relocated tree in response to comment from Division of Traffic Management. The Division of Traffic Management says, comments that, please be advised that the proposed building construction sidewalk will be required to be constructed along the Seaver Street frontage of the site. Staff can recommend approval. The site plan and elevations relocates the garage to access from the alley, consistent with C2B2 guidelines, by preserving the windows and doors addressing the Seaver Street frontage, with the condition that the final site plan will include a sidewalk along Seaver Street, Mr. Chair.
Since the Metro stamp site.
Say the same.
I think it's just a condition that they install a sign.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam. You have the recommendation of the area commission for acceptance, as well as city staff. Would you like to add anything additional?
No, that sums everything up. We will add a sidewalk along Seabridge Street, and we did move the tree out of the field of vision for the traffic department. And basically, we're just requesting these variances so the vacant lot can be buildable.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm just curious, R4, is that also for multifamily? And you chose to build a single family home?
Yes.
Okay. This condition that is stated here, you're saying we don't need that?
The condition will remain, just you don't need to stamp the sign.
Yeah. Got it, thank you.
Sorry.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal?
Call the question with the condition.
Question's been called.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with your new home.
Thank you.
You're welcome. BZA 22-077 for 2260 Lockbourne Road.
It's the avenue for the building.
Oh,
Hello, my name is Ben Cantrell and I was sworn in.
My name is Justin Blood with Court Engineering and Analysis.
okay, thank you very much. Adam?
2260 Lockbourne Road is located on the east side of Lockbourne Road, approximately 300 feet from Refugee Road, and it's zoned M Manufacturing and is part of the Far South Columbus Area Commission. The 4.69 acre site is developed with a maintenance service center. Surrounding uses are primarily manufacturing. The applicant proposes to raise and reconstruct a maintenance outpost building. Variances are requested to reduce the minimum parking setback from 25 to 8 feet, to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces from 36 to 34, and to reduce the building setback of a chain link fence from 50 to 5 feet. Planning is in full support of this proposal. After receiving additional information on landscaping along the Lockbourne Avenue frontages, and the existing building on site will be removed. Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the Far South Columbus Area Commission recommends approval of the request. Staff can also recommend approval of the requested variances because they will allow the site to be redeveloped with a modern maintenance facility and because the applicant has revised the site plan to comply with multiple comments from the Division of Traffic Management and Planning, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Adam. Can somebody walk me through this vision clearance thing? The vision clearance? I don't understand where we are with that.
Why are we recommending approval to it?
Yeah, can I, if I see it, maybe I'll understand it better. That's the exit on the lock form?
Yeah.
Entrance and exit, or? I'm having trouble just,
Maybe traffic, because I know they've gone back and forth a couple times with traffic. So, I believe they are.
so it's either obstructed or it's not. And
So could you, just reflect the possible zoom in on that to show the, vision clearance where that would be requested?
the sidewalk obstructs it, or what's the obstruction?
Probably the fence.
It's, yeah, it looks like, I mean, there's just a right of way that's being required to be dedicated, so, as you can see, the sidewalk is well set in front of the, fencing. So there is a variance, that almost looks like reducing it to 0. So that would not obstruct the sight lines for folks, being able to see pedestrians walking along Lockmore, as well as there's ample space to be able to see, when a vehicle exits onto Lockmore, to be able to see conflicting traffic. So there's, it's really a function of the additional right-of-way dedication that's being required.
Got it. Thank you so much. Anything additional that you'd like to add?
Yeah, just on that topic. So that plan that we're looking at there is actually an older one, so we submitted several revised ones actually that are more up to date. So the fence actually did shift back a little bit. You mentioned 0 setback. It's actually 5 foot now.
Well, where are these plans?
I could, but yeah.
I mean, we need to know what is real today.
Well, what's on the agenda is the accurate variance request. It's just, this is not the accurate.
Yeah, they went to chain link fence with 5 feet went to 5 feet, not 0.
Okay. Anything additional?
Yeah, sure. So it's really just comes down to the space on this site. So the public service has a specific set of requirements that they have for these facilities. And their equipment and vehicles obviously take up a lot of space, need a lot of maneuvering. So we're trying to use every square foot of this property that we can. And allowing these variances kind of helps us to best do that and help them best serve the public with this facility.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Seeing and hearing none.
Question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Mr. Mora?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, variance is granted. Did you guys sign in?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Case BZA 22-08, 3501 Groveport Road. This you, Adam?
Oh, no. Gets a little break.
Hello, Mr. Ingwerson. I don't think you were here to be sworn.
Or we're not.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you so much. Just sign in there for me if you would.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Stephen.
3501 Groveport Road is located on the east side of Groveport Road, approximately 880 feet northwest of Williams Road. It is zoned M Manufacturing District and is located in the far south Columbus area of the commission. The 7.22 acre parcel is currently developed with 2 structures and is utilized as storage space for a truck repair business located directly to the southeast. Surrounding uses are primarily manufacturing with a railroad bordering the property along the northeast property line, a distribution center to the northeast, a truck repair and storage facility to the southeast, a recycling plant to the west, and a train yard further to the northwest. The applicant proposes to utilize the property as an automobile salvage yard and is requesting a special permit to allow an automobile salvage yard in an M manufacturing zone district. The plan supports the proposal as presented. The Tri-South neighborhood plan states that expansions of existing uses shall be screened to reduce noise and obscure views. C2P2 state that external storage which generates noise and other impacts should not face the public right of way and should be fully screened. Planning notes that the proposed location does not front on any right of way, is naturally screened to the north and west, and abuts similar outdoor storage to the south and east. Furthermore, the proposal calls for fencing, which will further screen the proposed use. For these reasons, planning supports the proposal as presented. The Division of Traffic Management is working with the applicant to resolve potential minor issues with configuration of the southern emergency access lane, connection with the main site entrance, drive as part of the final site compliance plan process. All other Division of Traffic Management staff review comments have been resolved, which I believe, since the writing of this report, that comment has been resolved, and they've just taken care of the emergency access lane. The Far South Columbus Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval of the requested special permit to allow an automobile salvage yard because the site will be sufficiently screened due to it being located below Brookport Road, the vegetative screening along Brookport Road, and the proposed 6-foot-tall privacy fence along the western and northern property lines. Conditions recommended that the existing screening be maintained around the site by way of vegetation or privacy fencing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ingwerson, are you okay with the condition of maintaining the existing screening? Yes. Okay. Do you have anything additional? You do have the recommendation of approval from the City of Columbus. It sounds as though you're resolving issues with traffic management, as well as recommendation of approval from the Far South Columbus Area Commission. Anything additional that you'd like to add?
Unless you have any questions. No.
So you've been cited on this because you guys are operating this before you had the permit to do so. Is that correct?
Correct.
And had you not been caught, would you still be doing it?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the actual development of the site needed a special permit, and it was explained to the owner that that's what needed to happen. So he's engaged another engineer before he engaged me, and we're trying to go through the process and get him squared away.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Any additional questions from board members?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, special permit is granted with the condition as recommended from the city.
Very much.
Thank you very much. And did you sign in for us? I did. Thank you so much. BZA 22-081 for 1454 Oak Street. Thank you.
William Fisk, I live at 1454 Oak Street.
And you've been sworn, Mr. Fisk?
I have.
Thank you very much. Sign in on the sheet there, and you can have a seat. Jenkins.
Yeah. Okay, 1454 Oak Street is located on the north side of Oak Street, approximately 235 feet west of Miller Avenue. The site is zoned R3 and is located within the Near East Area Commission. The 0.25 acre site is currently developed with a single unit dwelling on a 72-foot wide by 153-foot deep lot. Surrounding uses are single and 2-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes a lot split so that they can sell or develop the new lot. Requests a variance to reduce the lot width parcel A from 50 feet, 37.4 feet, and to 34.6 feet for parcel B. So the existing lot A with a single unit dwelling is here. This would be the new lot after the split. The Near East Area Plan recommends that housing should be developed at the existing apartment sizes. Division of Traffic Management states that no access, such as the driveway, will be permitted to Oak Street, and that access to the site will need to be taken from Cutchins Place, which is the alley to the rear. Here, East Area Commission recommends approval, and city staff can recommend approval as the proposed lots would return the sites to their original parcel sizes as recommended by the plan and is therefore supported. We're not asking for any conditions.
Thank you very much. You have the recommendation of approval from the area commission as well as the city staff. No issues with traffic management except for access, and you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, anything additional that you'd like to add?
No.
Thank you very much. Anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Any questions from board members?
Call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Mr. Mora?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, variances are granted. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Yes. BZA 22-092, 130 West Henderson Road. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank
What
you
is your
for your
name?
time. Robert A. Harwood, representing Cameron Nickel.
And you've been sworn?
Uh,
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Please sign in.
BZA 22-092, 130 West Henderson Road is located on the north side of Henderson Road, approximately 280 feet west of Rosemary Parkway. The 1.11 acre site is developed with a single unit dwelling. Surrounding uses are primarily single unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to install a vehicle turnaround area in front of the dwelling. A variance is requested to allow a maneuvering area between the street right-of-way line and the parking setback. Planning is supportive of the received site plan and requests some form of landscape screening along Henderson Road frontages prior to moving full support, consistent with the Clintonville neighborhood plan guidelines of balancing parking needs with the impact of the natural environment. Division of Traffic Management has no comment, and the Clintonville Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval as the requested variances to allow for safer entry from a driveway onto a highly trafficked road, and the proposed area will be used as a turnaround and not for vehicle parking. And we have the condition that the site plan that you got be stamped, so they cannot park a vehicle there. It's just for turnaround. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And you do understand that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I'm just curious, you do plan to improve the surface?
Yeah, we received quotes on getting asphalt.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah, they would need a variance otherwise to park or turn around on gravel or grass.
Yeah, I was just thinking asphalt's pretty covering. Have you thought about pavers, like open pavers, so that grass can still grow? You're not like creating a concrete jungle or asphalt jungle.
It's been a consideration,
Yeah,
but I think we'd like it to match the current driveway.
but again, it's not really for driving, it's for maneuvering,
Yeah.
but up to you. Anything additional that you'd like to add? Okay. Anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Anything from our board members?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Mora?
Yes.
Mr. Malaka?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, your variances are granted or your variance is granted. Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
BZA 22-094 for 914 Cleveland Avenue. I might need a second. Is this the one we need to read on?
Yes.
Yes. Hello, would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
Mandy Martin, yes, I have been sworn.
Okay, thank you. Jamie?
All right, BZA 22-094, 914 Cleveland Avenue is located at the northeast corner of Cleveland Avenue and East Star Avenue. Site is zone C4 commercial and is within the Milo Grogan Area Commission. Site is currently developed with a 2,100 square foot warehouse attached to a single unit dwelling. Current uses include a park and 2-unit dwelling to the south, a residential dwelling to the north, an industrial building to the west, and a live work artist community to the east. The applicant proposes a change of use from storage to a medical marijuana control program retail dispensary. An Ohio Medical Marijuana Control Program retail dispensary requires a special permit from the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and the change of use requires a variance to reduce the minimum number of additional parking spaces from 2 to 0. The existing warehouse use incurs parking at a rate of 1 space per 1,000 square feet. At 2,100 square feet gross floor area, the existing development would be credited 3 parking spaces. The same 2,100 square foot building at proposed retail would incur parking at a base rate of 1 space per 250 square feet, with parking reduction of 50% because it's in the urban commercial overlay. This means that the new use would require 5 parking spaces, half of which would be 2. Both the Milo Grogan neighborhood plan and the Columbus Citywide planning policies recommend minimum parking space reduction requests where on-street parking is available. Staff note the site is located on a transit corridor and within a walkable neighborhood. C2P2 does not address a special permit request. The Department of Public Service can support a requested variance to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces. So they advise that with the proposed demolition of the residential structure to the site, is to the rear, the existing driveway with access to East Star Avenue will need to be removed. The Milo Grogan Area Commission recommends disapproval, and as I stated earlier, there is a supplemental exhibit packet with a number of emails from neighbors. If board would mind, I'm just going to read the names of the people who submitted them for the record. And if you want to read each individual email, I think that would be prudent. So the first email was from Michael Coakley and Dwayne McCoy. They're from 502 East Second Avenue. Second email was from Joshua Neptune. He's at 589 East Second Avenue. Third one was from Helena Hinkle. She's at 1060 Cleveland Avenue. 1060 Cleveland Avenue. Fourth one is Muriel Ziegler. She did not list an address. Fifth one is from board president of Milo Grogan Nonprofit Arts Organization, Liz Martin. She's at 934 Cleveland Avenue. Nate and Ashley During. They live at 771 East Second Avenue. Elizabeth Mitchell. She's at 625 Gibbard Avenue. And finally, Krishone Willoughby at 642 East Fourth Avenue. City staff recommendation is for approval of the special permit as the applicant provided a presentation to the neighborhood group and provided a notice to all property owners within 250 feet that fulfilled the requirements of section 3389.151. Staff can recommend approval of the parking variance as the Department of Public Service stated support for the request to reach the minimum required number of parking spaces from 2 to 0. The only condition is that the existing driveway with access to East Star Avenue will need to be removed. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think what we're going to do is to take these separately. So with respect to 3389.151, you have the recommendation from city staff. Is there anything additional that you'd like to add?
No, not at this time. However, in this, I'm sorry, is this for the special permit?
Correct.
Okay, no, not at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against the proposal for granting a special permit for an Ohio Medical Marijuana Control Program retail dispensary?
Now, folks, you are aware that we are not allowed to vote no on this. We have to allow the special permit. We're not giving.
Hang on. If you'd like to step up here and speak for this, please line up here and you can speak. And if you could make some room.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
My name is Errol Salkis and I have been sworn.
Okay, thank you very much.
I am the chair of the Milo Grogan Area Commission. There's 1, 2, 4 or 5 commissioners here tonight, and a couple residents. Actually speaking on behalf of our community, also the Boys and Girls Club, and also Road Fitness. Against this, we just don't feel like this is something that's suitable for our community. And that corner, if you look at where you had it pulled up, where you had it right across the street as a community park that we worked hard to get in with the Columbus Realtors that have that done for us. Where are they gonna park? Where are they gonna go? There's nowhere for them to park. There's no room. We talked about this at the meeting. We discussed it. She said they wanted them to be on the west side of Cleveland Avenue to park on the street right there, but if you're not gonna have anybody out to direct the traffic at all times.
So just to offer some clarity, we're speaking specifically about the issuing of the permit. The parking will be separate.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that part.
It's okay.
I didn't hear.
Would you go ahead and sign your name there, please? So, anyone here to speak for or against the issuing of the special permit? Anything from our board members? Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, we voted against the permit too. It should have been in there. It was, everybody was voted against it.
Yeah, our ability to deny a special permit for somebody who's eligible and qualified is not something we can really do. And somebody else is going to take that space, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So, of course, after this is over with this special permit, it also goes to council.
No.
It don't. It stops here.
Would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
Jada McDaniel, I have been sworn.
Okay.
So I guess I have a question. What is the special permit that they get to have a dispensary there?
Correct.
Okay. Why are you not allowed to vote no?
The statute doesn't allow
I'll
us to
defer to
vote.
city staff, and they can explain that.
Say that again? Okay.
Yeah, as stated in city code, it says the board of zoning adjustment shall grant.
Can you slow down, please? I can't understand you.
The board of zoning adjustment shall grant a special permit for a medical marijuana retail dispensary only when it finds that the following conditions have been met. A, applicants shall provide proof of compliance, providing notice to all property owners within 250 feet of the proposed location. B, applicant shall also provide a presentation to the applicable area commission or civic association, if established, that shall include the following information. Lowercase I, an introduction of the company, along with the background, anticipated earliest opening date, operating hours, and days of the week, and an emergency contact name and number. That's what the statute says, and the applicant has done that. So the board shall grant proof.
So they're telling us what they're going to do, and so it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they're telling us what they're going to do, and all you have to do is inform us. So you have a community there that's been in transition, and we don't want drugs and alcohol in there. And so they're just telling us that 250 feet, we're coming, and we have to accept it. It's not like, hey, we want to be here. Do you mind if we come here? They're just telling us that they're coming.
Correct.
Okay, so what's our recourse after that?
I would say the state legislature.
Okay, because we're not against the medical marijuana, we're against it in our community, that's all.
Well, and to be clear, this is a medical marijuana. It's not an
I said
uncontrolled. I didn't hear you say
I've
medical.
seen them before, medical marijuana, we're not against it, we're just against it in our community. We've seen it on Cassidy, I work at Cassidy Elementary School. In that area, it's businesses, there are not homes there. If there was congestion there, they had to have a police officer. Then they put up all of these signs because it was just a mess. And then now we're gonna have that where there are drug rehab centers, where there are people there, they have homeless teenagers that have a place around there, and then we have a medical marijuana. When you listen to the radio, sometimes all you have to do is just fill out a card or go to a doctor and they'll give you a card, a medical marijuana card. And then you have all these children that are drug and alcohol dependent that are homeless, and they're going to have that dispensary right there. Again, I'm not against your building. I wish you success, just not in our neighborhood. And especially, we were talking about our neighborhood, there are a lot of people that went to prison for selling it. And now, voila, you get to come here and sell it in our neighborhood. So I'm just not okay with that. And we would just like to know what we need to do. We go to the news, we protest, because that's just not okay. You don't get to tell us what you do where we live.
Again, I think the best recourse is through the state legislature, and your congressional member, or excuse me, your state representative, and your state senator would probably be the best people to start with.
And I believe it's it's Octavius, Gerald, and Herschel Craig.
It's not serious.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Anyone else to speak for or against the proposed approval of the marijuana dispensary special permit? Ma'am, are you going to come up and add something new?
My name is Daisy Milner. I've already been sworn in. I've been in the neighborhood since 1960. We have children right in that area. I have fought drugs in that area since 1960. And there's no reason why we should have a medical marijuana. I have children, but my assistant pastor of my church has 2 sons right now that was deported from the area because of drugs. Now we're going to set up a medical marijuana? No, I'm not against your program, but I'm against your program in our neighborhood because I've fought drugs in that area since 1960. And I know that you or nobody else can control the activity that this is going to bring.
Thank you so much. Would you sign your name? Anyone additional? Seeing and hearing none, anything from our board members?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
If I was allowed to vote no, I would, but I'm not allowed to vote no, so I vote yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, the special permit is granted. Pertaining to 3312.49, is there anything additional that you'd like to add?
And this is for the parking, correct?
Yes.
Variance. I'm reading over the emails and I understand the concern on parking. One of the reasons that the additional 73 dispensaries were added to the state was to reduce the parking and traffic issues that the current dispensaries are having. And we feel, and I don't want to speak for the Board of Pharmacy, but this is why we're doing this, is to add more dispensaries for the patients that are the growing patient list here in Ohio.
What does that have to do with the parking reduction request?
I'm sorry, what I was getting to is I still understand the concern with parking, and if we can table this till the next meeting, and I can continue to try to work with, I'm currently working with developers in the area that are open to giving us parking in the area.
I don't have an appetite to table this. You're here tonight. We voted on your one issue. Anything additional you'd like to add?
I went through a lot of if we can pull back up the map, I'm so sorry.
And are the spaces, you would have spaces if you didn't have a drive-through?
We will not have a drive-through.
Oh, okay.
So we currently have that back space as the secure delivery area. It's a requirement from the Board of Pharmacy that we have a secure space when we're doing deliveries from vendors. And that's where it would typically be the 2 parking spaces that we would need for the building. Again, we have to adhere to what the Board of Pharmacy requires. And we feel that there is, if you look at the neighborhood and the residents on that street and across Cleveland Avenue on Star Avenue. There are private parking for those houses, even the multifamily dwelling that is across the street from the building on Star Avenue also has available parking. We've seen people parking on the side and the back. There's an open lot across Cleveland Avenue where we could park on the street. There's, when I look at areas here in the city, this is really good parking when I think of certain areas of the city. So I do feel like there's plenty of space for us to all exist in this space.
So Jamie, help me understand the driveway that must be removed. East Star?
Yeah.
So is that,
access to the driveway? Well,
It is in our plans to rework that sidewalk and remove the driveway.
okay.
I don't understand. So you're saying that's your access for secure delivery?
No, there's an alley behind that comes off that.
Stars on the side.
Yeah, if you look at the arrow here, because there's a dwelling,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like there's maybe an attached garage that they access from.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're coming in off the alley.
Okay. Anything additional?
That's it.
Okay. Ma'am, do you have something you'd like to add right now?
No.
Okay, would you please go back to your seat? Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Angelique Sutton.
Have you been sworn?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
And I just want to question, you said there's additional parking in the back. There's a house back there. Next to the house is an alley. The open lot across the street, that's Rhodes parking lot. That's not an open parking lot. And they are doing further building there, so that's not an open parking lot for the public.
I'm currently talking to the developers.
We're not going to get into the back and forth.
Yeah.
Anything additional?
I'm just letting you know that's what it is.
No, appreciate that, for sure. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the variance for parking? Please, yes, please, so you guys can get in line up here and begin to speak one at a time. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Again, Jada McDaniel, I have been sworn in. I just have a question. She was saying people were parking on the back or on the sides. I know that I had parked in my backyard once and code enforcement had come down the alley and said I had to move my car because there wasn't a concrete in the back. So maybe people are parking at their homes illegally now, but we can't say that they have parking space unless it's a garage. That's all I'm saying.
You'll have time, ma'am, after these.
So, I mean, I don't know. She said they were parking beside their house and behind their house. But I know I've parked behind my house before when a fluke and code enforcement came down and he said he could write me a ticket with my car being back there, not on like a drive.
An improved surface.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Once again, my name is Charles Tompkins, address the parking. The areas that you mentioned talking about the parking, like Angelique just spoke, their parking lot is owned by road. I spoke to them today. They're not gonna allow them to park on their property at all. I had a long meeting with them today. West on the south side of Rhodes parking lot, there is an empty lot there that's owned by the land bank. I had meetings with them. That's not going to be developed for that. We are working on developing housing and stuff right now. The parking there will be for that housing. As I stated before, that whole area right there is pretty much taken up for the parking. There's not going to be no extra room for no one to park. You can't park on Cleveland Avenue. It's illegal to park on Cleveland Avenue in front of that building. You cannot park there. So on Star Avenue, where their park is, on the south side, right across from that facility, that's a park that's used for the community. And when they are able to park there, they park there and have their kids go over to that community park. Up from there, you have all the other houses that are there where people and residents live. There's no room. So what's going to happen is when they do come, they're going to come out and they're going to park up and down Star Avenue, just like they are up there off of Cassidy and Sunbury, and cause a bunch of problems and everything. Like we said before, we're not against it, but we just don't want to see it there. It's just going to cause some more problems with the parking that we're already doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Would you please indicate your name and whether or not you've been sworn?
I've not been sworn, I'm Deborah Patrone.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
I have a couple pictures.
You can't come up here, you have to hand them to staff.
I was going to table, I didn't see them.
Oh, if you don't have to, I thought you were bringing something in.
I didn't know. No, they're not mine to keep, necessarily. Along the alley, there are businesses and properties, on Cleveland Avenue, between Third and Star Avenue. There's always going to be a temptation for people to park on that private property they have their own parking behind their buildings. Access to the alley has to be there. It's a private thoroughfare. I mean, it's not private, but it's a thoroughfare for picking up the garbage. So it cannot be blocked off unless there's a change in the facilities. Yeah, and I don't know, but they will need a permit, I believe, to demo the house behind the building.
That's not within our purview.
I know that, but to assume that that can be used for that, that's going to be part of this as well. You understand what I'm saying? It can't be part of this argument today as well. We don't know if that's going to happen or not. A lot of this is built on assumptions, and I want you to keep in mind that we know the reality of parking in Milan Logan. And the reality is it gets congested. We may have photographs where it isn't, but when people come home from work, people do go to work. When they come home from work, they won't have a place.
Okay. Thank you so
Do you
much.
want me to sign?
Please do sign in. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this proposal as it relates to parking? Anything from our, my esteemed colleagues here? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Did you want to refute anything that was presented?
I think the only thing was that the residential parking information that I was getting was from online and from being down in the area. Correct that there's that alley behind the houses on Star Avenue where they collect refuse. And, but there's garages and parking back there. So that's where I was getting that from, that these residents aren't relying strictly on street parking, obviously utilizing it, absolutely. But we've been working down there out of the building for 5 months now, and it's been very clear anytime we try to park, very open. I did state in the area commission that it was my goal to not have employees park near the building during the day. We would park across Cleveland Avenue, down Star Avenue, where there seems to be during the day and in the evening, even more parking than on the other side. So we do feel that this is space that we can all exist in together. We would absolutely love to do that. So again, we're hearing what the residents are saying. We absolutely understand that it's going to make it tight. But again, we do feel that it's manageable.
Okay, thank you. Anything from board members?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Morrow?
No.
Mr. Maleka?
No.
Chair Jones?
No. Variance is denied. BZA 22-097 for 1334 and 1350 West Fifth Avenue.
You guys ever agree with me on it? Jeez.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Mike Shannon, the gentleman for the applicant. To my left is Erwin Effler. I'm the client. The applicant.
Think you guys arrived?
I have not been sworn in.
Okay. You swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you so much.
1334 and 1350 West Fifth Avenue is located on the north side of West Fifth Avenue, approximately 300 feet west of Northwest Boulevard. It is zoned C4 Commercial District and is located in the 5th by Northwest Area Commission. The 1.17 acre site is currently developed with a 41,000 square foot multi-tenant office building, a pet groomer, and associated parking. Surrounding uses include multi-unit residential to the north, restaurants and medical office to the west, a multi-unit dwelling and eating and drinking establishments to the east, and a bank, daycare center, and a restaurant to the south. The applicant is proposing to raise the existing building and construct a 6-story mixed-use building with ground level retail, multi-unit residential above, and a parking garage. Variances requested are to allow bicycle parking to be located in a not highly visible location in the parking garage, reduce the 10 by 10 vision clearance triangle to 6 by 6 to allow for stacked parking spaces, to reduce the number of required parking spaces from 295 to 188, to increase the maximum allowed height from 35 feet to 82 feet, to increase the allowable frontage of driveways and pedestrian entrances to a parking garage from 20% to 21.2%, and to reduce the number of required loading spaces from 1 to 0. Planning is in full support of this proposal. Staff are supportive of the additional information provided by the applicant regarding infill of the West Fifth Avenue garage entry into a future storefront consistent with C2P2 guidelines, stating ground floor uses address and contribute to the street. Staff also note the provision of bicycle parking above that which is required by code, consistent with C2P2 guidelines regarding parking reductions. The Division of Traffic Management states that with the revised site plan, with the understanding that 149 unobstructed parking spaces would be available to residents, leaving only 15 or 9.1% of the proposed 164 dwelling units without access to on-site parking spaces. And with the understanding that 3 bike racks will be installed along the commercial building frontage, either on private property or within the West Fifth Avenue right of way. The Department of Public Service can support the requested parking variance associated with this application. The 5th by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval of this request, and staff can recommend approval to the parking, maneuvering, and loading space variances. Since as stated above, the Division of Traffic Management has reviewed the proposal and is supportive. Staff further notes that the increased building height is supported by C2P2 design guidelines, and the increased allowable frontage of driveways and pedestrian entrances to a parking garage from 20% to 21.2% is negligible, and not recommending any conditions. And I believe since today a letter was issued stating that no right-of-way dedication is necessary, that the variance for bicycle parking to be located in the garage and the vision clearance triangles, I believe those are going away, but I would let the applicant explain that.
Okay, I'm curious, since when don't you take the right-of-way dedication?
Well, in this instance, we looked at the thoroughfare plan and looking at the existing corridor, there's been a number of right-of-way dedication exception requests that have been granted in this corridor due to the urban nature. So it did make sense for us to require that in consideration of the other elements on the site.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gleckschmidt. So you have the recommendation of approval from the City of Columbus. It appears as though you've cleared things with the Division of Traffic Management. Do you have anything additional that you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board Member Maleka and Senator Demora. I sincerely want to thank staff for their efforts, particularly BZA staff member Stephen, as well as traffic engineering, Mr. Moorhead, and Mr. Blacksmith. My client has made a great effort to work with the community. I think it's a transformative project for the neighborhood and meets the practical difficulty standards. Although no hardship is required for this variance, my client feels that he does have a hardship. Unfortunately, he feels his hardship is that on his lawyer. But other than that, we will meet the practical difficulty standards. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Anything from my colleagues?
So it's my understanding there are going to be some affordable houses as part of this development, supportive housing?
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Yes, sir, 20% of these units will be workforce housing.
since this is my new district.
Oh.
Can we call the question?
Yeah, you did. I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
I would just like to first clarify that, the bicycle, having the bicycle is not in a highly visible location and the vision variances are no longer needed.
Out of abundance of caution, I'd like to leave the vision triangle variance in there, but the bicycle variance would not be needed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Malika?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes, variance is granted. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Of course. BZA 22-098 for 5304 Hamilton Road. Hello, would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
I'm Kevin Oliver. I've been sworn in.
I'm Caroline Henry. I've been sworn in.
Thank you so much. Jamie?
Yes.
Okay, 5304 Hampton Road is located at the northeast corner of North of Hampton Road and Thompson Road. The site is zoned CPD Commercial Plan Development District and is within the Northland Community Council. In July 2022, the applicants applied for and were granted a special permit from the Board of Zoning Adjustment to allow a tenant space in the strip center to be used as medical marijuana control program retail dispensary. The applicants now propose eliminating 13 parking spaces from the site. 30 parking spaces from the site along the south side of the building to accommodate the new pickup window for the MMD, which requires a variance to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 206 to 193, which is 13 to 0. The Northland Plan Volume 2 and the Northland Development Standards stress the importance of internal parking lot landscaping and trees. They state that trees should be placed in islands at least 5 feet wide, which help promote the orderly flow of traffic. Division of Traffic Management states that a right-of-way dedication of 60 feet from the center line of Northampton Road will be required. The Northland Community Council recommends approval, and I do see the representative from Northland here to speak more on that. City staff will recommend approval as a proposed drive-through will lead to increased parking lot landscaping and screening while only removing a small number of parking spaces. And we recommend the applicant will commit to the stamped landscape plan. Again, for the record, we are only asking the applicant to commit to the landscaping, as there may be issues with the Division of Traffic Management based on the actual numbers on the landscape. Let Mr. Glushman speak more to that if he wants to.
Yes, if I could just briefly. So the drive-through configuration may require some adjustments to what is shown in the plan there. So in regards to the variance that's being requested, we have no issues with that variance to reduce the number of required parking spaces, but there may need to be adjustments just with the site circulation that's shown on the current plan there.
So does that affect us? Okay.
Okay, you have the recommendation of approval from the City of Columbus and your agreement to follow the stamped site plan. Is there anything additional that you'd like to add?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this proposal? Yes, sir. Please step forward. Have you been sworn?
I have not, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you.
My name is Dave Paul. I'm co-chair of the Northern Community Council Development Committee. Probably not necessary. I would like to say that we share perhaps this board's frustration at its role in terms of granting special permits. I understand that's not what we're talking about here. I will say, though, that our committee did support that application to the extent we were able to do so for the special permit and also supported this variance. We understand what the applicant is doing, and this particular applicant has taken some special pain, we think, to go and talk with their neighbors, neighboring tenants, not just property owners, but the businesses who are operating around them, to understand the potential impact on those businesses. We did not have any of those businesses or property owners respond to our invitation to speak with us and indicate whether they thought there would be problems in reducing the number of parking spaces. And I don't know that the applicant heard any negative feedback from their neighbors, but we commend them for at least asking. With that, I'll just say that our committee did vote 16 to 1, 15 to 1. Hang on, let me bring it up here. Yeah, 15 to 1 with 2 extensions. To recommend approval of this application, and we appreciate again the applicant's work with us to ensure that it's a good use in the community.
Okay, thank you. Anything from our board members? Call a question.
I was gonna, if they were gonna come back to me.
Oh, there's nothing to refute.
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Morrow?
Yes.
Chair Jones?
Yes. Variance is granted. Good luck. BZA 22-090 for 1005 Clan Court.
Mr. Chairman, I have to leave at 6 o'clock. Piece of one, just
Let
wanted
me,
to let you know.
yeah, let me give them the option. And before you guys all get too comfortable, we are a quasi judicial body, so I want to make sure that we're being fair and equitable to everybody. We have a board member that will leave here in 11 minutes. Do you feel that that's enough time to present cases and get a ruling, or would you like to come back another time? I beg your pardon?
Well, we don't know because here's the issue. I'm counsel for the applicant. I don't know what the city's position is going to be on this. I see they have some documents in hand. I haven't had a chance to look at those, so I don't know how long it's going to take.
Well, I would say it's going to take more than 11 minutes. That's why I'm offering you this option. And I would say that you guys should be in communication anyway to try to figure this out so you don't even have to come to us.
Maybe, that's my answer to that. Okay, well, let me see your document.
Well, either we're going to do this or we're not. But please don't show him any documents right now. Either we're going to do this or we're not. Now, if you want to see his documents separately, are you okay with us tabling this and moving it forward to the next meeting?
I feel like I could resolve it at that, but.
It's up to you.
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so
Thank you so much. And the way that this works is the city staff or the zoning department, code enforcement will present their case, and then you will have an opportunity to respond.
Yield the seats in.
I beg your pardon, yes, yield your seats.
Or Chad, you just pull one.
What's that?
You pull one up for yourself.
Yeah, oh yeah. Stand either.
All right, my name is Chad Gentry. I have been sworn in. We're here, passed out a pamphlet going over our defense of a notice that was issued at property 1005 Plain Court for a fence that is in violation of the Freedom Clearance Code. Roll briefs go through our exhibit list. Exhibit A is a copy of the violation notice that was issued for the privacy fence extending along the west side of the property. It's in a required yard, which abuts vehicle access to the blade. The fence also has an opacity exceeding 25%, and it is taller than 2.5 feet. Exhibit B is a picture of the fence, both sides of the property from Plain Court and from the neighboring property to the south. Exhibit C is an aerial photo taken from the City of Columbus zoning map. Exhibit D is plat of the property. And Exhibit E is the code section that was cited with the relevant section bolded and the definition of a required yard.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Yes, sir. Would you please give us your name and indicate whether or not you've been sworn?
My name's Joseph Streb. I'm an attorney. I
really wasn't technically sworn because I didn't raise my hand at the time, so, to the extent that you require attorneys to be sworn, on behalf to be sworn now, I have the applicant with me, and he was sworn.
Everybody that speaks here to give testimony will be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll provide is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? If so, say I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we submitted a brief in opposition to this citation, which I incorporate into what I say. It should be part of the record in this case. There is no zoning violation here. The code section here that's been cited as a violation simply doesn't apply to the situation that exists on the property. This is a citation under Plum City Code 332105, division clearance. But that particular code section, which is attached to the brief that we submitted, has various diagrams with respect to what the violation is. There's nothing that's been said here by the representative of the city that tells us what particular part of that code section has been violated. In fact, if you apply the language of the code section as written, it simply doesn't apply to the situation that exists here. So we can look, if you want to, at the diagrams. We can take a look at the plans and pictures that have been submitted, but the citation here simply doesn't apply. I asked the city right now to tell me which of the diagrams here in the code section are applicable to this situation. If you don't, right here.
Sir, you've seen the evidence that the city just provided you?
Yes, I have seen the evidence.
And are you saying that you don't agree with the evidence that's being presented in photograph?
I'm saying that not only do I not agree with the evidence that's been provided by the city, I'm saying that the code as written does not apply to the situation that exists at the property, right? The fence here in question doesn't violate any clear vision standards that would apply to this particular situation. Now, I'll go through the whole brief with you if you want me to.
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
So I'll ask so is your client saying that he doesn't agree that this is his fence? Or he agrees that this is his fence, but he doesn't believe that it's in violation?
That's right. He admits that it's his fence, but there is no violation.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I'm just gonna go off the reservation here and ask Mr. Blechschmidt, since you happen to be here. As you look at this evidence as it's presented to you, would you, again, I apologize for putting you on the spot, but as an expert in this field for vision clearance, do you find this to be in violation? Would you find that in violation?
I mean, I believe my first and really most significant question is the distance from the right-of-way line to the fence, which I believe is the code requirement 12 feet. Jamie, that would be required to be, since there is a vehicular access on that street, as I understand the code section.
Well, it says right here. Mature plantings with foliage between 2.5 and 6 feet above this, the finished lot grade shall not extend closer than 12 feet. But a fence is not allowed anywhere in the required yard. I don't think Dan's the right person to ask this question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. My apologies. Thank you. I don't know, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So again, to be clear, sir, we are not attorneys. We are not here to dispute the legal nature, but just in fact, what does exist. And from what's being presented to us, it does appear that there is a fence that is in violation. I have to take the testimony of the code enforcement officer that things have been measured and distances verified, and that it is in fact in violation. And I think that if you're disputing that, you might need to take that to a higher court or a court of jurisdiction to deal with that. But for our purposes, it does appear that this home, or this fence in particular, is in violation.
Well, I would say that we haven't heard anything from the city as to what measurements were taken here. In the brief, though, it does cite to the fact that there were measurements taken here, and even assuming that 332105A2 could apply, and we're not certainly admitting to that. There's no vision violation because there's more than 12 feet of clear vision area existing there when measured from the street line to the appellant's fence. In fact, if you measure from the actual street line, it's 23.3 feet. If we measure from the right-of-way setback line, it's still, that would be 10 feet, so it's 13.3. So there, the 12 feet of clearance exists there. So as a matter of fact, there's no violation of this particular code section, even if it applied. And it's a legal question as to whether it applies or not. And certainly from our perspective and from based upon the language of the code, it doesn't apply because, and I'll put it in the record just so, since we're here making a record, that it might be appealed. The reason it doesn't apply is for that particular code section that I just mentioned, which is .0582 to apply, there has to be a residential lot abutting a street and having access to it, right? So the applicant's property does abut a street, but it has no access to the street. Then there's an or abutting access, okay? Abutting access means that his property has to abut where the access is, but it doesn't.
Isn't that what it's showing in Exhibit B?
Well, Exhibit B of the city's document,
The city's photograph.
city's photograph, let's take a look at it.
City Chairman, I have to leave. I mean, you know, you can, if you can apply for a zoning variance. We normally grant these things. I've never, not one we haven't voted on for a lot like this. If you applied for a variance, which you probably should have done, we probably voted on it.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, we didn't put this fence was put up by a prior owner of the property.
Well, that's even more of a reason we'd have voted for it, because if you didn't put the fence up and it was there anyhow and you bought it and didn't know, but I don't think we ever voted no on a zoning variance, so why wouldn't you just go get a variance for this? I mean, I said, I'm leaving right now, which means this case is over.
Well, that's fine. We can table this to another time, or if you have to have an opportunity to make a record, because that's what gets appealed here. So, yeah, maybe a zoning variance could have been applied for, but really, from our perspective, there is no zoning violation here. And so as a result, you know, we're fighting this particular case, which was filed by somebody who has an ulterior motive for filing this, right? From our perspective, this is an abusive process that this ever even got filed, right? The issue of the complaint here is with the location of the fence that she says is an encroachment onto her property, right? She filed the zoning violation just to file. And so
She can't do that. She can call code enforcement if they find it to be a violation.
she called
So
code
at this
enforcement.
point, again,
Code enforcement said there's a violation. We say there's not a violation.
I hear you.
And
We have to deal with this now because we're in a moment where we have only 2 board members available to vote.
Yeah.
So this uncharted territory.
Yes, you
We've
can
never
do
had
it.
this. Okay, I'll move to table. Is there a or I need you to move?
I'll move the table.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Malacca.
yep,
Chair Jones.
Yes, tabling is granted. My apologies. Thought we could get through this. But again, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just a question. So this was a confusing issue for me because as I saw the citation, it basically said that my side yard was my front yard, which didn't really make a lot of sense to me, being that I have a separate front yard.
But because you're on a corner, you have another front yard. That's how we
Yeah,
view it.
The definition that I read in the city code of front yard was not clear.
Well, what the code section specifically says is no fence, has nothing to do with 12 feet or whatever, no fence shall be in any required yard. Because you are in a corner lot, your required yard is that 25-foot setback that is measured from the property line, which is the street right of way. Now, the abutting access is your neighbor to the south. You can't block their access.
But we didn't get cited for that. We got
No, you
cited
did.
for
The
a
code section citation.
We got cited for a very specific code section here, not some setback issue.
I'm sorry, can everyone use your microphones, please?
Well, we're off the record at this point.
Yeah, it's just.
Oh, are we?
I mean, I thought since it was
Table. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, but I'd like to discuss with you, so you're understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm happy to have this continued discussion. I'm happy to sit for a few minutes so we can offer you clarity. So maybe it becomes a non-issue, but I don't know that you need to
I'm not
report. Yes.
When there's no quorum, so.
Yeah.
We're done.
So we're done. So I think again, we operate in one world, and I know you operate in a legal world, and you operate in the real world, right? Just practical, what you can see. And in a situation where you have a corner lot, things are treated differently. And again, I'm not a lawyer, I don't even play one on TV, so I don't know about the 12 feet and all of this other stuff, but I know we don't allow that. And we oftentimes, to Mr. Demore's point, people come in, and these are really things that you could just apply for a variance, and we would say, we don't see any safety issues with the vision clearance, we're okay with this, and then it legitimizes what exists. And that could still exist, that could still happen, but I can't really say the pictures that he took aren't appropriate, and I can't tell you that you don't have legal standing. That's not within our purview really here.
That makes sense, and maybe the best thing for us to do is just apply for a variance. I mean, that could be as anything.
Probably
as
be
easy as
cheaper
anything,
for
just-
you.
Right.
It's a legal offense, yeah.
Well, to apply for variance, you still have to be applying from a particular code section, right?
Yes.
See, those section doesn't have anything.
It's in the packet.
I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
Well, we'd be happy to.
You can tell me what code section you think is.
3321.05A2.
3321.05A2, that's the same one that is referenced. And that's just, that doesn't say anything about.
Yes, it does.
Right here.
Look at the screen.
As much as you think it doesn't apply, if he applies for the variance, we'd likely approve it, and he'd be fine.
That is the specific section that is being violated.
Simple.
So you've got your fence or wall that is all of these things. It's exceeding 2.5 feet in height. It's exceeding 25% opacity, and it's located in a required yard abutting access to a street. So you're abutting your neighbor to the south has access to that street. So that's why I broke it down on the notice into these 3 bullet points.
Look at the language of.
Look at the language of what was cited.
Yeah, I know that's what's cited, but.
Then that's the code we're operating from.
I totally agree with Chad.
Do I get hazard pay for getting through all of these cases in that way?
We have time to look at it. We'll look at it again.
I get that you're under the speed.
But I love it.
Okay.
Right, but that doesn't apply, but it's not a rule.
There's a lot of different.
Yeah. I thought you had one for a long time.
There's a lot of broken guys.
Oh, bitter.
Or a buddy. The access that's being abutted is right here. This is your neighbor's property. But their property.
So I did back into this link on the end of my.
Okay, so it's a, it is. It's a very. And it says body content, that's exactly.
Zero feet.
Okay.
Yes.
Christine. Yeah.
I'm ready.
So I think maybe they were, there's something going on with it. Yeah, you come to
The zoning.
something to try to work with on the city.
Well,
But they, when I said.
believe me, this is.
We get ready to move forward. No response, I said. I'm not gonna say.
Definition.
No, not ready. Okay, good. I just kept what you said. It goes out with that. Were you out of town?
Serious.
Also,
While your fence has been down. You can understand.
you check your
So say.
Well, I got 600.
Right, that's kind of
Like,
601.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. No, I have 600. You can talk like,
You don't check your phone?
well,
I only check my phone like when I was vacationing. I was making crap. I understand.
But, and Phil, yeah, if you come back from for the appeal, cancel.
same with change.
What she had out there all summer long, right? So here's somebody files for alleged vision violation, the picture reads the shit.
She did move that because I addressed that.
The day I said, "Look at the pictures," when I asked her, "Oh, yeah." But again,
Yeah.
my issue is abutting access means that it would have to abut the access.
Okay, yeah.
But there is no access from his property to the street, right? So abutting means that,
It's kind of, it's talking about her here from it, so your property is.
it doesn't, but her property does, but the access doesn't. And that's what it says.
You can't just block someone else's view.
Well, it's not the access, but right, it's this, that's.
And that's why you'd be granted the variance. Dan, that guy Dan right there, like, you go out on the site distance measurement, say, yeah, it looks clear, but still, it's technically a violation of the.
So what is the definition of abutting? So
That'd be the common definition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So it doesn't touch her driveway.
Your property touches your,
That
that
property with access, that's two different things. No, what it says, but it's a property with access.
you address it, you're looking at yard space.
So hold on.
Your yard space abuts her yard space. Your required yard, that required yard there, that 25 feet. So that's why I think the plat there, you've got a 25-foot setback on both sides.
So it becomes a required yard because it abuts another yard.
That it's required to be
No.
25 feet of yard.
Driveway, you would have no violation.
Yeah, if there's no driveway there, it'd be
And the
fine.
driveway could be anywhere on her property.
Yes.
Onto.
Right, so if it was on the far south of her property, you'd still be in violation.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. It doesn't, and that's why.
That you guys making an interpretation of
We're
it.
not,
It's
we're not,
what it is.
we're
It's
not
not
making
everybody,
any interpretation.
right? I mean, the city just made an interpretation. Well, it's been handed down. I find attorneys all the time, so I'm one of them, right? And bring it in. I think about it here, so.
wait.
Look what he's saying. That's a lot of budding and having access, right?
Right, your box is a resident lot that has access.
Yeah, his lot doesn't have access, only hers,
But
but
the obstruction is in his lot.
the
Yes,
residential
you're
lot
creating an obstruction for your
is
neighbor.
free and having access, right? Each residential lot abutting a street and having access. His doesn't have access to any street from where the fence.
You know what that means is if your neighbor did not have access, then you'd be fine. But because your neighbor has access, your residential lot, which has access, that does it.
No,
This,
no.
this is or abutting such access, I think is the.
Well, right, abutting such access, but that means what it says. It doesn't mean abutting the property.
Are you
It means
denying
abutting
that, are you
the
denying that your neighbor has access to the street to the south?
No.
Is that, okay,
His property.
you're abutting
his-
that access.
His property doesn't abut the access, that's what I'm saying, and that's.
No, it probably says it abuts a property with access.
Correct, but that's a different
That's what
thing.
it says.
No, it doesn't say that, it says abutting such access, and that's.
Or
the-
property with access.
It doesn't say that. That's the way
It does say that,
No, it doesn't. You said.
abutting such access. It's not what I said, that's what the code says.
That's what you did, finished it. So instead of required side yard having, any required side yard having particular access to the street.
Or abutting such
It's
access.
the same thing I just quoted, right? His yard doesn't have particular access, so you have to go to abutting such access. That doesn't mean abutting a property with access, that means abutting the access.
Exactly, you're
Right.
abutting the access, your neighbor has access
The
to the
access
street.
is her driveway, and his property doesn't abut her driveway, and that's the difference. And I know that, but it's, to you guys, maybe that seems like a distinction without a difference, but that's, yeah, that is a difference that makes it, that counts in the court of law, right? That's what the code says, that's the literal language of the code, right?